Welcome to the first of a few Rhaldor videos that I'll be doing. I've been working very hard to get this guy leveled up, and I've already been using him in guild battle, and in fact I actually got 6 stars the other day with this guy. So we're going to go over his kit and some of the decisions I've been making in this video and just kind of talk about how the testing's been going and show some matches. But I have to say it's a pretty good start for the old Mysidian Rhaldor combo. So let's start with the hero himself, Rhaldor, and I've already got him maxed entirely, and you can see all his jobs are maxed except for this one. Sometimes you just can't get those last few memories that you need. And his Trustmaster, it's been pretty interesting with the attack, defense, accuracy, obviously HP, but the combat supercharge, if you put this on a unit and you get that move up, that can really make a big deal. The thing is that you have to keep in mind is that you're missing out on probably using an agility TMR, and that's so hard to do. Like, that's honestly, it always feels bad taking off an agility TMR, especially since I use some slower units, but it's still a really good TMR. I'm certainly going to use it in PvP a lot, and I'm certainly going to, PvE, I'm definitely going to use it in live matches as well. And then for his equipment, I've already made 2+5 Kaiser Knuckles. So we've got the assault version here, and then I'm just awakening my critical version. And this is a very easy weapon to max. You do not need a equipment pass to do it, and not that I would ever use one, because we should never have to pay for equipment RNG. That's insane that is a product that they're selling us. I can't believe it. Moving into his abilities, I'll kind of break down what I'm doing in each job, but for Pugilist, his main job, I've basically leveled up most of his skills because these are all really important skills for him to use. Iron Body Stance is just massive for the 3-turn buff, and then the Pugilistic Mastery, I've had that on and off, and I'll talk about on and off skills later on, but all these skills are important. He uses all of them, and the one thing I have to actually mention here is that if we take a look at, for example, Shifting Strike, this will move Rhaldor next to the person if there's space, or I've even been diagonal from someone and it's let me use them, but there'll be times where he can't use this. And then if you look at Wicked Pummel, well, we have an AoE, so there's a bit of flexibility there, but you still need to be right next to the person or right near them. And then Demon Purger, you have to be right near them as well, so where's your ranged attack? Well, it's actually on your limit break. So here's Chasm Render, and this is a really cool limit break animation, and there's your ranged ability right there. Now, I've leveled this up, and I do not take like intelligence into my decision making for leveling limit breaks. I level up the limit breaks that I think are the coolest of the units that I think are the coolest, so I already put a bunch into him. Now that kind of works out because he has an Imperil, and that's always fine to strengthen, like that's not a bad thing, but I've also leveled up Ramza, Delita's, and Ildira's limit breaks, and only one of those is probably worth leveling up. So although I guess Ultima kind of has some applications as well with a guaranteed hit, but this is one of his only ranged attacks. And then obviously with Paladin you get the Taunting Blade, but that's pretty expensive. With Thief you're gonna get Snipe Dagger, which I wouldn't recommend, and then on Pugilist sub you get Spirit Breaker, so at least this is like you don't have to be right next to them. The debuff is actually really cool, so this is actually more of a case to run his Pugilist sub to get that ranged attack, because if you're finding on a certain map that Rhaldor is not able to approach his target, then yeah, you're gonna want to be subbing this, and I'm really curious to see how this breathing technique works, but obviously I've been using the Paladin sub for him so far. Alright, so for Paladin, well, we've maxed some important skills like Sentinel, Saintly Wall, and I've been working on Taunting Blade. However, I've actually been turning off Taunting Blade because it is a very expensive skill for AP, and I thought, you know what, I'd like him to use a bunch of skills in a row. With his defense penetration and his striking attack, he's actually dealing really good damage, like more damage than I thought, which is really exciting. And in the party that I'm running him in, which is Dwayne, Delita, and then Rhaldor, you don't actually need anybody to have hate. They're all tanky units, they can all take hits, so you don't need Valve Love, you don't need Taunting Blade, you can just let everybody have at it, and if your opponent attacks whatever unit, you're fine with that. So in that way, I don't really need Taunting Blade, and I just use Paladin for the Sentinel and for the Saintly Wall buff. Now, of course, if you wanted to use Rhaldor to divert attention from your other attackers, then yeah, you might want to use Valve Love or Taunting Blade, but in my purpose, it's not been needed yet. And this is actually my PvE setup right now, but if I was going to go PvP, I would take off Warrior Spirit and I would put on Holy Knight's Protection, and then you get the defense and HP and the Thief Lore for the move up and the agility, and then of course I've got a max Paladin's Guard, and then this would be basically what I'm running for a PvP match. Now I would actually turn off Chasm Render because it's really expensive. It's so strong, but it's just really expensive, and again I want him to use multiple skills. And then you have to think about what map you're on and if you're able to approach your opponent fast. And what I was finding is that in the PvP map, Rhaldor was getting into range so quickly that I almost wanted to put Thief Lore off, and that would make the difference between him using one self buff and two self buffs. And of course you want to get your pugilistic mastery off so you get more defense penetration, so you get more striking attack up, but then you also really want Iron Body Stance, you really want Saintly Wall, you really want Sentinel, and those things will allow Rhaldor to approach your opponent. So finding the give and take with the support abilities, and then also what to turn on and off is really difficult. So for example, in a typical match, Rhaldor is going to use Pugilistic Mastery on himself and try to hit somebody with it. If he doesn't hit your second party member, he'll go run over and use it on them. It's very similar to Atonement with Dwayne. Then he'll use Iron Body Stance. Then he'll use Saintly Wall. However, if he moves into range of an opponent, he'll use Sentinel instead of those other two skills. And in that case, you don't have a 3-turn buff anymore, you don't have a 3 damage barrier anymore, and that was kind of problematic. So if you were going to use Rhaldor as a tank, or if you're really focusing on the damage mitigation and the tankiness of him, then you would actually want to turn off your pugilistic mastery and just focus on him getting out his buffs so that he can take as many hits as possible for the rest of your team to do what they need to do. I went through a few different phases of testing, you know, turning off Sentinel, leaving everything else on, turning off Iron Body Stance. I've tried it all, and in the end, I have everything turned on now for those defensive buffs, and it's just kind of working out. And the reason I ended up going back to that is because for guild battles, you have 2 fights, and there's, you know, how many buffs is he going to use? It can actually take, because of the bizarre pathing on this map, it can take forever to actually be able to get to somebody, so the more buffs you have, the better. But there is so much wiggle room with Rhaldor to mess around with his buffs and get exactly what you want. I think in an ideal world that I would definitely get Saintly Wall and I would definitely get Iron Body Stance on before I entered combat, and then Sentinel could be I can't reach anybody this turn, I'm going to Sentinel up, and then next turn I can go and whack someone with my fist. So that's what I would be thinking about for Rhaldor's skills. So I want to quickly highlight the team that I've been using so far in PvP. I've got Dwayne, and I actually do have his passive hate on, and it's because it just messes up the opponent. Like, the pathing on this map is absolutely insane, so I definitely left it on. But again, you don't need hate. Delita is also sub Paladin because he gets Immortal Spirit and Sentinel, but then I have Self-Sacrifice to do lots of damage, and then Holy Knight's Protection and Paladin's Guard, all this kind of stuff, to hopefully survive a few hits, but then still get the benefit of self-sacrifice. And then you can see all my gear and my espers here. Like, these are a max Odin, and then 3-star of my Fenrir and my Death Machine here. And then for Rhaldor, we're just really focused on, I wanted to get everybody agility, which is why he's got the Chronal Cap on, because it still gives him okay defense, but he gets so many buffs and shields and stuff that, you know, this is totally fine. It's worth it for me for the 5 agility, but I'm still playing around with that. And then I've given him this, this is part of my testing, the spirit, making sure everybody has some spirit, because you never know when you target a Cain Agrius team, which is something I would target, and then the 3rd unit is an Ildira, which would honestly suck, and then a Halloween Leela or an Ayaka, whatever it is, some sort of magic damage dealer that can can whack these guys, and you want a little bit of protection against that. That's why I have the Fenrir as well. But there's other cards I'd mess around with. You know, maybe the Death Machine comes over to Rhaldor, and then, you know, Dwayne has the hate, and I just make sure that he can take it, and I put on, like, you know, our Leonis Castle here or something. So there's definitely some options available to me. Another one, of course, is also Ifrit. I have 2 units that can use the fire attack up 6, so I definitely want to test out some cards like that. This is early, right? This isn't a guide. This is like a like, I'm just sharing what I've been doing. So this is the setup for now. Feel free to ask questions in the comments, and we're gonna go look at some matches. So this will be exciting. I think I found a mono ice team today in guild battle, so we're watching this live. I don't know what's going to happen in this fight, and it looks like, yes, we found a mono ice team, which is just perfect. So hopefully we can see our fire units do some real damage. So you're going to see that I keep wanting to say Lardu. Rhaldor is going to get a lot of buffs out in this time. And remember, everybody has Confusion Resist 2 for Agria Special. It's just honestly really cool. So even though there's some magic damage here with Rosa, I'm not worried about it because she's ice, and we get that inherent element advantage. So because of that Quicken, we didn't actually, I don't think we got Immortal Spirit out there, which kind of sucks. Although it means we might have it for the second fight, which, you know, we're totally going to the second fight. See, there's a second Pugilistic Mastery. Now, he's not going to get a defensive buff out because of this. And that's something that, you know, it's just a risk with this type of, like, the Quicken totally messes it up. But his team is so far back, we should be able to just plow through this Agrius. There we go, so Delita can run through, and now Lardu, or, see, I did it. There's the Shifting Strike. 3k on Gilgamesh. It's going to force a heal. We're crowding up for him, though. Now, Delitas usually use a Taunting Blade by now to shift hate off of. And there's 4k on that Gilgamesh. And Rhaldor just going for it. Okay, we're looking to break into another team here, and I don't expect to win. I didn't know there was an Ildira. Interesting that you're using the special, though. This is a high-ranked player. So my guild actually got promoted the other day. We're in Champion 2, or whatever that league's called, which is very exciting. Look at that. Oh, nice little heal. I actually forgot I turned that on. I was going to test it out because it's so good with Ramza. I forgot that I left it on and never got to the testing. It does not look very good. So the hope here is actually, we'll see right now. Oh, okay, special is no good. We'll take a look at the damage. So not very much damage. And he does have Golem on, so he has the Pierce Resist, but still, like, he's... Rhaldor does not take much damage from... There we go, and that's going to mess with Ildira. And maybe we can watch a little duel between Rhaldor and Kane in the corner. And a little Shifting Strike action. I feel like the thing with... oh, darn. So not that much damage, it's a pretty weak Ildira there. We're going to definitely take out this Stern, and then we need to get over there if we can. If we can get to her... Oh no, holy. Okay, wow. Right, because Dwayne actually has some pretty good resistance. We might actually pull out of this one, we'll see. And of course no Immortal Spirit, they just couldn't make him that good. And now we got, okay, that's pretty massive for this matchup. Dwayne not using a skill there, kind of interesting. He should have used like Rising Twilight or something. Okay, and that not killing us again, very huge. Because, Oh, he didn't use Immortal Spirit either. Look at that, 6 stars again. So I decided I'll show one more match from my testing, and this is against an Agrias Kane Ayaka Sustain team, and we'll see kind of a similar setup, a bit of different pathing from those live matches I just did, and we're gonna see how like Kane can just be completely ridiculous on this map. Like, he does no idea what he's doing. But we're also gonna get to see how Rhaldor can really do some damage to Agrias as well. There's the protect, and our ideal setup that Delita gets our Immortal Spirit always. And there's our first buff of Iron Body Stance, and everybody's so prime. Like, everyone's getting their slash attack up, everyone's getting their strike attack up. So Kane's going entirely the wrong way. And I don't know that I like White Mage Ayaka. I like her more than I used to. I used to like say that was the worst thing you could do, but I think haste scares me a lot more. So we're getting a ton of buffs in at this point. Oh, let's go, Kane. What you gonna do? And see, this is fine. Taunting Blade. Look at that. 133 damage to Rhaldor. Ayaka's got, and see that this is with the problem with haste. You put on CT change null, she's already moving up. She's already in full life range. But instead we got a 3-stage Hallowed Bolts, which I really love for that silence on. Ooh, and there's your 3,778 Wicked Pummel, and that's what we need. And like another thing I love about this map is that, you know, your team doesn't stack as much as they did in the last map for Kane's LB, and then when Kane's LB slowed everybody, that was a problem. So now Delita will take the hate, which is huge. Rhaldor is gonna just punch a White Mage in the gut, and you see right there, Kane switches targets. Delita survives. So now we've got a better chance in a second match. Although of course, you know, still faster than us. Without slow, Dwayne probably goes. But what can you do? And then Rhaldor surviving. He's full health. And that's that. So that's going to be it for this video, and it was just a preview. So looking forward, I'm going to be doing some arena with Rhaldor this week, trying to get as high as I can. I'll do some videos on that, and I've got another fun video planned that is still a surprise, and I'll get back with more info about that. But if you have any comments about Rhaldor, if you have any questions, and certainly if you have any advice or tips of your own from using your own Rhaldor, then by all means, please get at me in the comments. And again, I am not swearing by anything that I've done today. This is all initial testing, so just a super fun video to make to show off how great he is so far. At least that's 2 6-star days in a row for me. So definitely feeling pretty good about my pulling Rhaldor.